I'm going to teach you exactly how I got a $55,000 HELOC on an investment property in the state of New York. Welcome back, everyone. A few weeks ago, I was able to close on my first ever HELOC, or home equity line of credit, against my second property, and that HELOC was just funded about a week and a half ago. Now, many people believe that this is an impossible feat, that you cannot get a HELOC on an investment property, but that is not the case. It is definitely possible. I have good news and bad news. I'm going to be telling you everything that you need to know in today's video. So let's get started and dive right in. But before we do, as always, make sure you folks do a couple things for me. Number one, give this video a tremendous thumbs up. Smash the like button if you do appreciate the content. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. That will notify you every time we post a brand new video. Once we hit 20,000 subscribers, we will do another cash giveaway where we give away double the amount of cash that we gave away at 10K. With that being said, let's get started and get right down to it. So some context for you folks to understand how I was able to get this HELOC. Well, on my second investment property, which I just closed on in January, the most recent I closed on the 1st of June. In that second property, it was a duplex, and I used a DSCR loan, which meant, unfortunately, I had to put down 25%. And if you know anything about New York real estate, it is extremely expensive. I had to put down 25% on a purchase price of $587,000. So because I put down so much, I already had some instant equity already built up before I even made my first mortgage payment. First of all, technically it's not called a home equity line of credit because home implies that it's your primary residence. So it's technically called an RLOC, revolving line of credit, or just LOC, line of credit, when it comes to investment properties. Just a little side note. Most HELOCs, the terms that you'll typically see are 75 to 80% LTV, or loan to value. That means that they'll lend you 75 to 80% of the total value of the property minus the debt that you owe. And because I put down 25%, if I was able to get an 80% HELOC, that would mean I would already instantly have that 5% equity that I could unlock, as well as any additional appreciation that has taken place in the time that it got under contract last year up until this point. And especially because I poured some money into the property after I bought it, several $1,000s, I knew that the value was much greater than it was at the time when I submitted the application initially for the HELOC back in February of 2022, than when I got it under contract in September of 2021. So I really wanted this HELOC because it was truly the only way that I was going to be able to continue buying property after I closed on my most recent house, because otherwise I was pretty much wiped out, and it would probably take me another several months to another year before I could buy another one. So this HELOC, having it, would allow me to keep going, and I'll have this revolving line of credit for 10 years. After 10 years, you could usually submit a reapplication, and then the bank will reevaluate to see if they want to continue offering you that revolving line of credit. But to be honest, I think I only need it for 10 years. That's way good enough. There's one problem though, and that getting a HELOC on an investment property rather than a primary residence is hard enough, nearly impossible. Now trying to do it in the state of New York, well, forget about it. You will never be able to do that, or so I thought. After many weeks of doing research, asking in the forums, and calling every credit union and bank I could possibly find in the entire nation, finally, one bank was able to do it. That bank is PenFed, and if you're a fellow real estate investor, you've probably heard of them. They are quite synonymous in the real estate world, as they give out HELOCs like they're candy. When I'm telling you that no local credit union or bank will do it in the state of New York, I am telling you I exhausted all options, but PenFed came through, and they came in the clutch. There's an interesting story here. I almost didn't get this HELOC, and it was a super close call. So I originally submitted this application for the HELOC back in February, and I was told that it was only going to take maybe 4-6 weeks max to get this HELOC. Now, usually when you get a HELOC and the bank does an appraisal, they can usually do it digitally, and they'll just pull up a number on screen and will tell them what the property is worth. But because it's a two-family, it's a duplex, I was told that they actually need to do a real appraisal, have an appraiser come and check out both units. That, of course, had to be coordinated with both tenants, but luckily we were able to get that appraisal done, and that came a couple months after I initially submitted that application. After having experience with now 3 mortgages, I know that there's delays and things come up, but I was truly hopeful that I was able to get this HELOC in 4 to 6 weeks, and many people shared great success stories online of getting this HELOC rather quickly, even less than 4 to 6 weeks. They got it done within 2-3 weeks in some cases. Of course, for me, It took about 4 months. It was tough communicating with the first point of contact. They never answered after several back and forth phone calls and emails, and then I was having a hard time getting in contact with my equity loan processor at times. Sometimes they were responsive, sometimes they would drop off the face of the earth for a week. And according to the equity loan processor, because the property was in the state of New York, apparently there's more red tape, and so that created more delays. I don't mind waiting, but the reason why I almost didn't get this HELOC is because my credit report was about to expire, and if they needed to rerun my credit, well then my credit score dropped from what it was previously taken at the initial application, and so I might have not even been able to qualify for this HELOC. What happened was because that second property that I'm actually getting the HELOC on, because that mortgage is now reflected on my credit report and additional other credit card debt that I took on in order to have enough funds to buy that second property, because all this now started to come to fruition and reflect on my credit report, that means my score dropped like a rock. So I actually did close on the HELOC. I signed with the notary, I met them at a local Starbucks, and I thought all was well and I got this HELOC and no problem. So now we were up to the funding stage. I just needed to fund the account and all would be well and I'd have this money. Unfortunately though, I was told they had to rerun this credit because we were past the deadline. They had absolutely no choice. There was no way around it, no loophole. They had to rerun the credit, and my score was under the threshold, and I was very upset and nervous. After a few days of silence and my equity loan processor speaking with upper management, they actually made an exception for me. And this is amid the rising interest rates, and believe it or not, in the middle of the process of getting this HELOC, PenFed actually said that they are not doing any more HELOCs on investment properties because it's simply too risky with the high interest rates, and that they would only be doing HELOCs now in primary residences for now on, or at least until announced. So miracle number one was that I was able to get this application in time, because as long as your application was submitted before the announcement that they wouldn't do any HELOCs now on investment properties, well then you'll be good to go. The second miracle was upper management giving me an exception for this one time, and they allowed me to move forward with the HELOC and fund the account, and I was elated. I now have this HELOC for 10 years, this line of credit, and it's interest only payments. It does have an annual fee of $99, but that's okay. That's actually waived if you pay that in interest over the course of a year. After that 10-year withdrawal period where I only have to make interest only payments, after that, I have a 20-year repayment period where I then have 20 years to pay the HELOC back. There's no worries there because I'm going to be aggressively paying off this HELOC every time I use it. Anytime I touch it, it's only going to be used for investment purposes. I'm not going to blow it on some designer clothes or a vacation. It's only going to go to more assets that will cash flow for me and put money in my pocket. So I'm going to be aggressively paying off this HELOC with new cash flow from the next property, and then also using other income from my other properties as well as my business income. The reason HELOCs are so powerful in the real estate investing world is simply one word: speed. Because if I didn't have this HELOC, it would have taken me another several months to another year before I had another, let's say, $50,000 to put down as a down payment on another property. So the fact that you have this money up front and then you can use the cash flow later to pay it off allows you to build up and scale up much faster. It's also much better than a home equity loan. Home equity loan is just a one-time loan. It's not a revolving line of credit like a HELOC is, and that loan must be paid back right away. HELOCs, you could typically make interest-only payments for a certain period of time, and it's a revolving line of credit that you can use again and again and again, just like a credit card, but this time you can actually use it for property. And they're also usually low interest, and that interest is fixed for a period of time, so it never goes up and down with the fluctuating market. HELOCs are super easy to get on a primary residence. If you own a primary, if you own your house, then you could probably just go to your local credit union and they'll hand you a HELOC within a matter of weeks typically. There's no issues there. But if you want to get it on an investment property, it's nearly impossible. Now, a big reason, part and parcel, why I wanted to get this HELOC done ASAP as soon as possible is because by October, I will have to file my tax return for the tax year of 2021 because I filed an extension on my 21 return. And if they needed to see that income for 21, well, it would show a dip in income. Luckily, they were able to accept my 2019 and 2020 tax returns, and if they ever did see the income for 2021, they would see a bunch of write-offs, deductions, and it would show a complete dip in income. I probably wouldn't have been able to qualify for that HELOC either. But that HELOC is now loaded and funded with 55,000 buckaroos, and I can withdraw that money at any time. And what's great about HELOCs is if you don't withdraw the money, then you're not paying interest on it. It's only when you actually withdraw that money that you'll start to pay interest on it. That's not the case with a home equity loan. Once you get that loan, you have to start repaying it immediately. Now, it is worth noting that if the economy were to truly turn south, there is a possibility that PenFed could do a recall and they can actually want that money paid back right away at any given time, and they could actually take that HELOC away from you. So just know that there's a possibility that you won't always have access to it, but most likely you are good to go. So the good news of this video is that it is possible to get a HELOC on investment property. Ask investors in your local market, whether it's on real estate forums, Facebook groups, or meetings, in-person meetings. Just ask them where they got their HELOCs from, or if they know anyone that has a HELOC, or if they know of any credit union or bank that does it. Ask away, and you'll eventually find something or someone. The bad news is that PenFed specifically is not doing HELOCs on investment properties anymore. Now, if you live in any other state but New York, you probably have a much easier time of getting a HELOC. Mostly states in the South or in the Midwest, they tend to be pretty easy going with getting HELOCs. You shouldn't have a problem at your local credit union. But if you want to get one on the East Coast, specifically in New York, well, you're going to have a very, very tough time. So far, PenFed is the only one that will do it. I do know that TD Bank, don't crucify me, I think TD Bank could do it, but it's a 75% LTV. I've also heard talks that the bank PNC Bank could do a HELOC, but I haven't moved forward with them. So definitely harder in New York, and you might have to wait until the economy gets better and interest rates trickle down. That's when you can probably get that HELOC, but it is possible. It is not impossible. I'm curious, if you're a fellow investor, where do you get your HELOCs from? Which bank or credit union did you use? Help each other out. Help each other out in the comment section. Let's get a dialogue going. I think someone here must have some knowledge and could help out another. So definitely comment down below and share your thoughts and opinions. And if you have any questions at all about the process, about my process with the HELOC, definitely let me know. I'll be happy to answer and help you guys out. Hope you learned something from this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button. I would appreciate that. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. Click that bell. If you want to get some free stocks, all me, all free, use the links down below in the description of this video. Sign up with the brokerage platforms Robinhood and or Webull. You'll get some free stocks, some valued up to thousands of dollars in some cases. Still know some stocks you get. And if you want to connect with me on social media, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Meet me down below in the links in the description. I look forward to meeting you there, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care for now.